Are you ready?
Okay, looks like we're live, everybody. All right, we are live. How are you ladies doing?
Woo, living.
Living. That's a good thing. You know what? Hold on. Change my privacy. There we are. There we are. I had it on a private setting. Hey, ladies.
Hello.
I am so excited to be on here with you all tonight.
We're excited to be with you.
Yes, thank you for joining me on here. We're going to give people a few minutes to start staggering in and before we really get to talking good. I'm so excited because we always have some good conversations, and so open it up to the world. We just got to be a little more cognizant on what we discuss live. Always good stuff though. But people are coming on in. Give them a few more minutes. Are you all able to see on your page to be able to watch the chat? So always good stuff. So remember, it's a delay on Facebook. So just make sure you're watching the chat on Facebook, but you're talking through the other component.
I'm trying. Right.
So they're coming in. We are at 22 right now, and they're coming in quick. So let's go ahead and get started. So once again, I am so excited to have these ladies with me tonight. These are some very special ladies to me, and I'm going to introduce myself, and then I'm gonna let them introduce themselves first. So who want to start, or do I have to call them out?
Well, I'll start.
I knew you were gonna be first.
My name is Tiffany Wallace, and I am in Cleveland, Ohio, and I am line sisters with these beautiful ladies that are here, and want to thank Dewan for thinking enough about us to have us on tonight's discussion.
Thank you for joining. Dolores, you want to go ahead?
Yes. My name is Dolores Johnson, and I am from Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I'm also glad that Dewan opened up this forum for us. Greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Anya?
I'm Anya. I'm a native of Charlotte. I am married to my high school sweetheart, and I have two beautiful little ones. So hope to get to talk about them tonight.
Andrea?
Okay. Andrea Well-Surf. I am so glad that Dewan had put us on, set this up for us. This is out of the norm for me, so I'm out of my comfort zone. But this is going to be a great evening. I am a mother, a wife, a mother, a grandmother, and a good friend, sister, daughter, all of that good stuff. So
look at her, my grandmother. You don't even look like you old enough to have kids. You talk about grandmother.
Grandmother where?
And
several times over.
I am Monique Armstrong. I recently transitioned to Houston, Texas from my hometown of Muncie, Indiana. So that's been a new and exciting experience for me. I am a wife, a friend, an encourager, a political activist, and I am so happy that Dewan invited us to share in this experience. I love you dearly. I appreciate these women. These are my big sisters, my line sisters, and prayer partners and friends. So love you all. Thank you, Dewan.
Love you too. Well, once again, thank you all for joining me tonight. I'm just so excited to have you ladies on here. When I was thinking about, well, let me introduce myself. I'm Dewan Jordan, and I am a life and business coach, and this is My Story Mondays. And I'll just give a brief description on the purpose of this platform. I am in the process of completing my first book, and it's called My Life, My Story, Our Lessons. And in this book, I will be sharing my life experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the lessons that I learned from them. and how I can use those experiences to help someone else. And so as I'm preparing to launch the book, well, complete it and then launch it, I'm almost complete. I have like very little to do now. And so I started this so that I can be able to kind of just start talking about it. And as I started talking about it and started to do the lives, I started to get a good response from the lives of people who were saying that they were really being impacted and helped by some of the lives that we were doing. And so I decided to keep it going. So 2 or 3 weeks ago, I did a live called The Mind of a Man. And that was with my father, my 2 brothers, and they talked about the mind of a man. And it got so good that we were asked to come back and do a part 2. So we did a part 2. And then I said, I cannot go out like this, because I was kind of silenced during the mind of a man, since we were talking about the man's mind. And since I'm not a man by any means, and I don't have the mind of a man, I couldn't really contribute much. And so I wanted to definitely do one from the mind of a woman, so we can get both perspectives and insight from both genders. And so that's how this came about. And so when I was thinking about who I wanted to invite, I could not think about anyone better than to bring you lovely ladies on for this, I don't want to call it an episode because it's not a show, but for this live. And so thanks again. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to do something really quick just to break the ice, because we are going to touch on some heavy topics tonight, some fun ones, but some heavy ones as well. And so just to break the ice before we start that, I would like to just ask you all a question. We've been talking about quarantine and COVID, and we've been laughing about just how hard it is trying to get cute these days. And we did a little video a couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago in April. And in the video, we all had to get dressed, and it took us probably 3 weeks to get this video out because nobody could remember how to get cute. And so it's just been a fun time. So during quarantine, and just a real short answer, what has been maybe, let's see, I'm trying to think of something different than I've asked the guys, but what have you learned about yourself during quarantine? And anybody can start. Some people might need to think about it a little bit.
That I require quiet time. People peg me as a complete extrovert, but I have lots of introverted tendencies. I require quiet time.
That's good. Good observation.
For me, I enjoy being at home. And I was okay being quarantined for months and just leaving the house, maybe to go to the grocery store and right back home. And I was like, you know, I really enjoy being at home. I don't have to go anywhere. So I just realized how much I really enjoy being at home and just being still for the most part, and not running around everywhere, doing this, doing that.
Absolutely.
I've learned that I like outside. You know, I've been outside. I'm going, taking walks, enjoying nature and all of this kind of stuff. And I tell people this, and they're like, what? You did what? You went outside? So, yeah.
There's something about that natural sunlight. It's nothing like it, though. It does see, so.
And I would say also the outside, lately I've been able to walk like 8 miles a day, 20,000 steps. So to enjoy God's creation, it's been nice walking through the woods. So I am excited about that.
That's good. That's good.
I've learned that I can call upon all the skills that I suppressed for the last decade. You know, I'm growing tomatoes. I'm cooking tomatoes. I'm making yeast rolls from scratch that I learned how to make from my grandmother at 12 that I hadn't made in 10 years. You know, I've enjoyed calling upon all those things that have been invested in me over, you know, my lifetime, and I enjoy that, the simplicity of things. You know, a lot of what I thought was important is just vanity, and I'm enjoying tapping into the women that invested in me and pouring it into my husband.
That's so good. That's so good. And you're in a new place too. So
Yes.
it's a lot of things that change for you on top of, quarantine. So you're going through a lot of changes right now. Good
Yes.
stuff.
But God is good.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
So I would say that for me, I guess that's not a new thing. I would say probably what Andrea said. I can stay home all day. I kind of knew that, but I didn't know that. Like, I literally hate, I shouldn't say hate, that's a harsh word. I literally dread having to leave the house. I really do. But then when I get outside of the house and I get the sunlight, it's like I need to get out more. And it just puts you in a whole different mood and a whole different vibe. And so I know that I like to be at home, but it's different. And I said this a couple lives ago, but it's different when you are forced almost to be at home and you don't really have a choice. That's the part about it I don't like, but I'm okay. And the older I get, I'm turning to more of an introvert as well. I like to be by myself. So that's a good conversation. So let's get started. So we're going to talk about being a woman, the mind of a woman, and the way we think, the way we process things, the things that we face on a day-to-day basis. And when I was talking to the men a couple of weeks ago, I asked the question, the magic question, what do men want? What do men need? And can you all guess what it was? Respect. Y'all already knew that answer. Y'all probably just thought it was rhetorical. We already talked about this, but it was respect. And so I want to just kind of talk about, what do women want? What do men, not men, but what do women want? What do women need? And how does what men desire from a woman, how do we act on that? Like, how do we show the respect to the people that we love, the men that we love, and the men that we're with? So I want to start. So the first question, let me break it down, is what do women want? And all women are different. Of course, I know that we all have different desires, but the core of it normally has a similar foundation, if not the same foundation.
Well, I'll start us off. When I was single, a married woman gave me a book titled Love and Respect. And just for full disclosure, Dewan did prompt us a little bit. And so I did want to make sure that I shared that book, Love and Respect, that was given to me by a woman in my singleness. And what's exciting about singleness is that if you desire marriage, prepare for it. Anyways, yes, all women are different and all men are different, and respect can show itself in many forms. My husband and I have conversations about love and respect often. And for us, our respect and our love begins with our communication and defining what our relationship is for ourselves with the wisdom that has been invested in us by others. But when I was single, John asked me, John is my husband, he said, Monique, what do you want? And I told him that I wanted intimacy, security, and affection. And he listened, and we redefined that together.
That's good. Anyone else want to share?
That's real good, Monique. I was also going to mention a book that my husband and I read together while we were dating, which we did not date very long. We dated 7 months before he proposed. And we read the 5 love languages so that we can know how to pour into one another, because there's no need for me to do something that I think that he needs, but that's not the language that he speaks. So when I read that book, we both recognized that our languages are completely different. Mine are acts of service, and mine are gifts, while his are words of affirmation and touch. And so for him, affection is huge. And so most people who are, most of my line sisters know that I am not a hugger, and so like that is his thing. And so oftentimes, he'll come in and he'll hug me and I'm like jumping back, and it's just like, okay, this is his language. So you know, that is one of the things that we had to learn about one another. And it's something, even after 9 years of marriage, is something that I'm still working on, the affection component.
That's good. Thank you.
So Dewan, is it okay for this to be a conversation? Dewan, is this
That's exactly what this is.
okay? I would like to say that Tiffany, I have witnessed you exhibit the 5 love languages. Although you moved far, far away, and I missed you greatly, to be with your husband. I have seen how you have grown in exhibiting that. So I'm saying all that to say she's living it. I've witnessed it. She's just not saying it. John and I also read the 5 love languages, and we share the same love language, which is quality time. And this is something that's annoying to a lot of people that observe us. But because our relationship started as a transcontinental long distance relationship, we spend a lot of time on the phone. And it took me a while also to transition to Houston. So we also spent a lot of time on the phone within the last year and a half, separated in different regions of the country. But anyways, quality time, we'll just sit on the phone and breathe. And that's our way of exhibiting love. It's weird to a lot of people, but it worked for us so that we could feel connected.
And that's what matters. It's for you all. It was for you all. It wasn't for everybody else. And I think that even in relationships, that's where people go wrong a lot of times. They're trying to do what other couples are doing. They're trying to do what they hear other people say they should do, and they're not doing what's best for the people in the relationship. And so that's an excellent statement that you made. Well, anybody else like to say?
And I'll also say what I want as a woman is love and affection. And when I was single, it wasn't so much affection, it was love. And as a married woman, you know, Daniel and I read the whole book of 5 love languages. I kind of read some things to him, and we both did the quiz. So we know what our love languages are. His is quality time. That's not mine. Mine is words of affirmation. So we have to remember that, okay, I need you to say, you look good, you look nice today. Or, you know, just, you know, something. It's like, oh, hey, you have your hair different? Is your hair different today? But then I also have to remember it's cute, or so, you know, just something. And I just have to remember that his is quality time. And for me, I'm okay being by myself somewhere. Even if we're like different rooms. Now, if I need to be cognizant that he wants quality time. So even if I do go and just sit next to him on the couch, that's quality time because we're spending time together. But you know, me not having my phone on, I need to work on that. Not looking at my phone, doing emails or whatever. So I have to remember that, you know, his quality time. I need to, you know, just shut down everything, spend time with him, because that's his love language. And then I have to remind him what mine is. And he has to remember and be cognizant of, okay, I need that.
Yeah.
That makes me happy.
Yeah. That's good. And the good thing about that and what you said is that it also shows that sometimes when you've been by yourself and then you get with someone else and you're connecting 2 different lives, like it's not going to happen overnight a lot of times. If you're not touchy-feely and yours isn't touch, then it might take you a minute to realize, okay, let me go touch them. You know what I mean? Whatever that means.
Right.
And that's so true. It takes time, you know, and I think that's what's important about, and I am not married. So most people on here know that, but I'm not married, but I have had some relationships. And so I do understand. I have brothers that are married, you know, I have grandparents, my parents were married 40 plus years, my grandparents 50 plus years. So I know, I don't know all the ins and outs because I haven't been married, but I do know what it should look like, at least from what I've observed. And so did anybody else want to talk about that before we move on to the next topic?
Look, so we could talk all this next hour about the 5 love languages because it's a lot to unpack here. You know, we read the book too, and you know, I say, you know, my primary love language is physical touch. I'm very touchy-feely. But you know, one of the things that I noticed and that I've mentioned is where I am or where my mind is at a certain time dictates what my love language is. You know, so you know, as a mom with two small kids, I need acts of service. You know, I need that where I am. Some days I get cute and I want you to tell me you look cute, you know. So it just depends on where my mind is. But again, my primary love language I would say is physical touch. But you know.
That's good. So I'm gonna go to the chat right now and let's see. Hey, Janelle Woodson Soror is in here. She said we all look beautiful. Thank you. DeMichael, he said quality time is good, long as it involves touching the end. That's called compromise. Y'all remember that? Someone else said just quality time for me. Okay, so that's good. So yeah, keep on talking to us in the chat, everyone. We want this to be a conversation. It doesn't just involve us because we do this all the time. So we want to involve you all as well. So we're gonna keep on going. And just I want to say this. If you have not read the 5 love languages, whether you're single, married, have children, whoever, if you have any kind of interaction with people, you need to definitely read that. And they have it 5 love languages for couples, for singles, for children, for teens. So make sure you check that book out. It's by Gary Chapman. It's another book, and I have to say this that I read when I was going through a breakup years and years ago, around the time that we all met. Someone gave me a book and it was called Knight in Shining Armor. And in order to read Knight in Shining Armor, you had to make a decision where you had to totally dedicate yourself to God for 6 full months. That meant no dating, no talking to any guys, no anything. So at the time for me, I was good. I didn't care because there wasn't nobody to talk to anyway that I felt. But when I tell you, it took me a while to sign that contract, the little contract you have to agree to. And it took me a while. But then I thought about it. I said, oh, I'm not talking about it anyway, so I might as well sign it. But I kid you not, this is how Satan works. As soon as I signed my name to that dotted line, I became a hot commodity, y'all. And I'm telling you, I had to really be like, you know what, even if I wasn't interested, it was just the fact that all of these people started coming out the woodworks. And I really had to say, you know what, I committed myself to the Lord for these 6 months and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I mean, it didn't mean like you were out dating and everything, but the way the book was set up, you had to totally commit yourself. And so it was no talking on the phone and all that stuff. So that's another good book for some of you ladies, and well, for ladies, but some men could get some value out of it too, where you're totally just committing yourself and building your relationship with the Lord. And that book did wonders for me. So I definitely recommend that. It's called Knight in Shining Armor. I can't think of the author. But we're going to go ahead. They're still joining us in the live. Go ahead and send some chats. If you have some questions, be sure to put them in there and we'll talk about them. So talking about womanhood, one thing that brought us together, and I just think that this is just like, I love it. And we came together. First of all, let me tell you this. So you ladies mean so much to me. And y'all know this. And we have these conversations. And I actually told you all this today, but not as much as I'm going to go into detail now. But you all mean so much to me. And you know that. You all came into my life. I met you all when I was going through one of the most difficult times in my life. And you all kind of knew the situation. I never really expressed it all because I kept a lot in. But you all, if it had not been for you all and I had another friend, I don't know how I would have got through that time. I really don't. And the way you all came around me and surrounded me and loved on me. And the thing I loved about you all, you have people in your life who always have an opinion. You know, you have people you went to high school with, people you went to college with, or people that you just know who has an opinion about every little thing in your life. And half of them don't even have their life on track when they're trying to pour into you. And so you end up going sometimes with whichever the wind blows, you know. But when I say you all came in and you all offered great advice, wisdom, and we prayed together. You know, you all were never judgmental. You all never forced any opinions on me. We actually had discussions and we stuck together. And during that time, I think several of us experienced different things during that time that we all came together. And even afterwards, when we experienced the loss of our dear friend and sister, Nakai, that was a really hard time. I still miss Nakai so much. Oh, I think about her all the time. But just the way that we always seem to come together, even if it's times that we don't talk all the time, but when the time comes, we get on and we stay forever because we're catching up. And I think within this group, we all have different relationships with each other. I have a different relationship with Anya than I have with Tiffany, than I have with Monique, than I have with Dolores, and vice versa with all of us in this. So I just want to know what, I'm just so blessed. What is the importance that you feel of having strong female friendships? Do you think it's important? And if so, why?
I absolutely think that having women in my life is extremely important. I would not be able to thrive because I am a woman. But what I will say is over the years, I have honestly found that many of my friendships with women have diminished, which is fine. I'm okay with that. Because what I have learned is that my circle has gotten smaller, but it has gotten so much stronger.
Yes.
And the people that I know that are in the circle are people that I know that I can trust. And actually, to be quite honest with you, and it's nothing against anybody who's single, but I have found that my circle changed when I became married to being more influenced by women who were also married, which was important because I had to do away with some single-minded thinking that I had. So that was something that was very, very important. I can't imagine, life without a woman. I was birthed by a woman, and my mother carried the seed of my children. And her mother carried me as a seed. And so I think, to the relationship of women is very, very important.
That's good.
Dewan, when I think about friendship, I think, about my mother. And my mother, in church, there was a group of friends, and I mean, these are the people that I grew up with. We spent a lot of time in church, a lot of time in church, more time in church than really we did with a lot of our own natural family. But to this day, 50 plus years later, they are still, good friends, and they still support each other. I watched that growing up. I watched how it would be 1 o'clock in the morning, and we at Shoney's, and they talking just about life, and they helped each other get through life. So for me, that is very important. And I agree with what Tiffany said. It's kind of changed some. A lot of the relationships have changed. Like I have a mommy group, we call it a mommy group of friends, but that we talk about everything. But then I still have my college crew, and those are the ones that I can just let my hair down and and just be Anya. And so I couldn't be Anya, and I couldn't get through every day without those relationships, because I could pick any one of those groups of friends, this group, my line sisters, any one of those groups, and I'm sending the text like, what do you think about this? Or, and what about this? So I could not do that without, the women that stand beside me and that are going through life with me. So it's very important.
That's good. We have a comment or a question in the chat. It said, should single, and this kind of going back to what Tiffany was talking about, should single women be able to give advice to married women? Who wants to answer?
Look, that? I made that face. I did. I was just playing when I made that face. At one time in my life, I would always say no. I used to say no. And now I think differently, honestly, because I think that single women have things that are valuable to say, whether they're single or married. Anybody who has been in any kind of relationship has something valuable to share. So with that being said, I absolutely, and let me put this out here. I apologize for ever having said that. Because I do think that, single women do have something valuable that they can sow into you.
Dewan, I'd like to speak to that. I shared earlier that I recently transitioned to Houston, but my husband transitioned to Houston in August of last year, I did not transition to Houston until the 1st of this year. And Dewan called me to the carpet on that. Dewan's very single. I had other single girlfriends that addressed the fact that it was really my ego that was keeping me in Muncie. I had projects that I was working on. I had a campaign that I needed to finish. I had board meetings that I had to attend, and I wasn't ready. And in the midst of that, my husband needed me to be with him. You know, that's my charge as his wife. I need to be with him. But I had to step outside of myself. And this is after, you know, we've been married 4 years at this point in time. I'm still newlyweds, but not new to this, you know? And so my single friends, but also women that are not single, but are willing to share their failures, have also helped me within my relationship. And we grow together every day. I've grown with you all. You know, I was just looking at the screen on Facebook, and I remember Dolores investing in me because she loves me and was worried about decisions that I was making and navigating, you know, growing as a young woman. You know, I'm the baby here, but I have things. I'm trying not to cry. Y'all know I'm a crybaby, but navigating my 20s and now being in my 30s would have been very difficult had I not had women, single, married, in between, that shared their experiences. So thank you all. Thank you.
We love you.
Yes.
So as we're I'm gonna go back kind of to what Anya I done lost my train of thought. Mo.
Y'all know I'm so sorry. I can't help it. I told y'all my last name should have been Crybaby.
Well, let me just change the whole topic because I can't even remember what we're talking about. Let's go to the chat. Someone said, to you all that are married, I would like to know who made the first move to approach you or your husband. Who approached you or your husband when you met? So, who approached who?
Mine approached my dad.
He approached your dad.
He approached my dad first.
Smart man.
He approached my dad first.
If he can get past that first hurdle, he might be good to go. What about some of you others?
As for me and my husband, we met in accounting class at IPFW. He was my tutor.
Convenient.
So, yeah. So it grew from there.
And you all have been married for how long? A long time.
26 years.
26 years.
Oh, and I also want to add, it is an honor to see all of you married, because when we crossed, I was the only one married. Mm-hmm. And you guys gave me happy blues. But it was really different being the only one online married and putting up with you guys. But I had a ball with you guys.
Same here. That was such a great experience. Getting to know each of you, and you form a bond that's like no other during that whole process. And so,
so true. We
know each other in ways that you probably shouldn't even know each other. But it's so that bond that we have, like, I mean, just getting to know each other, the long nights talking and chatting and laughing and I'm gonna say arguing, but it wasn't a lot of arguing. I mean, we got some inside stuff, but one thing I will but we're not gonna talk about that, right? So but the one thing I will say about this is a lot of times when you get into female groups, especially groups of friends as large as us. Okay, so we have other line sisters as well. We have it was 9 of us on our line. and a couple of them
We had an honorary 10, Cam.
his
The baby.
little boy. That was Nakai's son.
Oh yeah.
But and that's crazy to see how old he is now. But
Yeah.
No.
whenever you get into groups of women, and I've seen it all my life, it's always not always, but a lot of times you find a lot of gossiping, a lot of bickering, a lot of envy and jealousy and all of that stuff. And I will say we've never had that amongst us ever. And just going back, I remember Andrea is a little older than all of us, and so Andrea had a full-blown career. We were all working too, but Andrea had some time under her belt. And so she was raising 3 boys, and we're going to get into that in a second too, but she was raising 3 boys. And I remember we went to Muncie. She was living in Muncie. We went out there to visit, and when we walked in the house, I walked in, I was like, oh, whoa, this big old house, and she was all young and stuff. And I was like, that really inspired me. I've never forgotten that, because I remember, and Anya too, Anya had a nice house. I don't think I ever even went to your house. Dolores, she had a nice house. You had been established, you had been married, and
She domestic engineer.
all that stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Y'all had a nice house too, still do. But I just remember walking in Andrew and Anya, and I still talk to Anya about her apartment. It was a condo too. I love those places. But it was so nice, and it was just so inspiring, because at that time I had just graduated from college. I was working my first job, only probably a couple months in, and to be able to walk into someone's home and we are around the same age, and to see how you all were living, and to see how you all were doing your thing and your careers and stuff, that always inspired me. So I'm just letting you know that now. I used to always talk to Anya about that condo. I spent a lot of nights in that condo too.
We all did.
But that's not right. But I think that's just such a blessing of having women in our lives and friendships as well. One thing, okay, I want to talk about something, because I think it's very important that we touch on this a little bit before we go. But motherhood, that's a huge thing when it comes to women, motherhood. And some of us on here have children. Some of us don't. But as far as a mother, some of us are even raised Black boys. And with everything going on, we're just in some trying times right now with the pandemic, with all this going on with racism. How has that been? So we have, everybody in here has been on different levels. So we have Tiffany, who is raising 2 young boys. And then we have Anya, who has a younger son. And then we have, and when I say young, I mean, how are 2?
He's 2, yeah.
How old are your boys, Tiffany?
5 and 2.
5 and 2. And then Andrea, she has a 30-year-old. Can y'all believe that? 30, what,
30, 28, 30.
Yes, 27, 28, 30.
No, not at all.
And then Dolores, she has an older son, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But in the times that we're in now, how was it and how is it raising a Black son right now for you? And with them being younger, some of them, it might look a little different. So
I will say, because I was a teenage mother when I had my oldest, who's 30, and it was a struggle, but I had family and all that. And then fast forward, when they were early teens, we moved into a predominantly white neighborhood, and they went to a predominantly white school. And so with that change and having to deal with name calling the kids, calling them the N-word. They were younger kids, and that was, and I don't know, but I kind of tried to prepare them as much as I could that this might happen, being, their mother and trying to protect them, say, okay, this might happen. And it did, but, I guess luckily for them, they were all really close. So that it wasn't just one person trying to jump on one of them, because if somebody tried to jump on one, it was all 3 of them you had to mess with. So for that, I was concerned, but I wasn't in fear of it at that time. But when they started driving, and then when they got older and graduated, went to college and went on to live on their own, fear set in, because, I would wonder, am I going to get that phone call about, because, there was, police, pulling over Black men, Black boys for no reason. And I was worried about that. And I was in fear for their lives. And so I would hate to get that phone call like late at night, like, oh man. And it's always, I mean, for me, it's like, it's negative. And, so I tried to keep them at home with me close as long as I could. So even when they were ready to go, even though it was time for me to go, like, no, you don't have to leave. You can stay here. Because I didn't want them to leave because I was afraid for them because of what possibly could happen because of the type of the world that we live in. And even now, I still worry about them and all young Black men. But specifically the ones that I raised, because I know, from, raising them from, being from infant to grown men, it's still a struggle. Because, now, because of the world we live in now, it's still, you never stop being a parent. And, especially mothers, we're so nurturing. And I know I'm getting long-winded, so I'll pass it on to someone else.
Are you good?
But so yeah, it's still kind of a struggle.
And I would have to agree with her, basically ditto on everything that she said, the same concerns on the different then versus the different now. As they say, more people are recording everything that happens, but I would have to agree with the concerns that she had that I had for my sons. And and when I think about now, it's really scary.
Mhm.
It really is.
I think, Dewan, it is, I have a 2-year-old. So some days I just sit and look at him like, what does his future look like, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What, both my kids, my daughter and my son, but I look at my Black son and I say, what is, because he's cute now, he's cute. Everybody loves him, oh, he's so cute, but, at what point is he not going to be, that cute little boy, and I have fear, but then I have to go to the word, because you always have to go to the word and say, God has not given us the spirit of fear.
Yeah.
So we can't walk in that fear all of the time, right? We have to raise our kids the way that we know how, teach them the right things, and, and let God be God, really. So, but the mama in me is still like, that's my baby, that's my baby. And, and what kind of world will he have in the future?
That's good.
I am a mama bear. And I tell my sons every single day that they are Black kings. My oldest son wakes up and he says, Mommy, I'm a proud Black king. And I say, yes, you are, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want anyone in the world to define who he is. That starts within the home. And so with that being said, I have fears. I have fears for my husband because I also know my husband's temperament and he's not a punk. And with that being said, somebody rise up on him, he's going to rise to the occasion. So with that being said, I mean, yes, I realize that God did not give us a spirit of fear. I completely agree with you, Anya, but he also provided us with humanistic feelings. And with that, I constantly cover the men in my family. I cover my husband when he's sleeping. I cover my children. And with that being said, I also ensure that they know who they are before somebody out there in that world can define them.
Amen.
That's right.
Good. That's good. Thank you for sharing. We have Angela. Angela.
Hey,
Hey, Sam. We miss you. She was unable to attend tonight. She had better plans, I guess. We miss you. Next time. Let's go to some of the comments. Someone said, Terrence said, you all have something very special, a sisterhood that is a blessing. Yes, it is a blessing. And I tell you, had to go through a lot of different friends to actually meet a group like this at one time. I have other good friends too, but to have this many ladies surrounding you and to be surrounded by so many beautiful, smart, intelligent, and wise women, it's a blessing. Someone said, Jermichael said he had to get off of here. He can't ask no more questions. His wife just logged on. Alicia said, I love this positive and true vibes. Justina Varner says, now she's a good mother. This is a part of a nurturing mother. That's what my mom said. Shonda said, agree. I feel the same way. I have 5 kings. Wow. 5 boys. And mom said, always be a praying mom. All good stuff. So one thing I do want to talk about, and we discussed this, and so everything we're discussing today, we have not discussed it in so much detail, but I did kind of go over some of the topics with them before we came on tonight, because some of them are pretty heavy, and there's no way that I was going to put any of them on the spot with some of these questions without going over it with them first. And actually, some of the things I wasn't even going to talk about, but through our discussion, they were led to share this. And so I ask that you just listen and just say a prayer for them, because I know none of these things are easy to talk about. But I want to talk about we want to talk about what is it with all the George Floyd and all that stuff been going on. We started talking about what it could possibly be like and what it's like to lose a child, whether you're losing a child in your womb or whether you're losing a child that you have raised and built this wonderful life with. And we have individuals in this live who have experienced both sides of it. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about that. And so I'm going to let Tiffany start, because I know this is part of her ministry and her heart. So Tiffany, I know that, and I'll let you tell your story. You tell your story.
Well, I'll start from the beginning. And I always said that I never wanted to be a mother, that I had more than enough nieces and nephews because I have older siblings, and I always felt like I was being left with the kids. And so I just wanted to be able to live my life and not have any children. Then I met this man and he completely changed my world. And when I say, and that man is my husband, and when he desires so much to be a father, that's all he talked about, was being a dad. And I talked to some of my single girlfriends as well as some of my married girlfriends, and they were like, it's not right that you're married this man and you know that he wanted children and you're not going to produce children for him. So long story short, we were pregnant, and we were 4 months pregnant and went in for a routine checkup, for the monthly checkup that we had, and learned that we were losing our baby. It was the most difficult time that I ever had in my life. I was embarrassed. I felt like I was less of a woman. I felt like something was wrong with me. No one talked about miscarriages. I didn't know any friends that had miscarriages. I felt alone. I felt betrayed by God. I felt like my husband thought something was wrong with me. Internally, was there something that was wrong with me? And did I put this on myself because I spoke the words that I never wanted to be a mom? So I dealt with that guilt as well. But God saw fit for me to become pregnant again. And we weren't trying, God knows we weren't. But I became pregnant maybe about a year later, and we had our first son. And he was the truest blessing of my life. So you would have thought that I would have learned not to say that I don't want to have any more children. Oh, after I had that first kid, I was like, oh, I never want to have kids again. And then I became pregnant again. And I lost that baby after, I may have been 13 weeks pregnant. And I lost our second child. Now I have to be honest. I'm going to be very transparent. I was not ready for baby number 2. So for me, the miscarriage was such a blessing because I was still trying to adapt to motherhood from child number 1. trying to be wife, trying to be mom, trying to be career oriented. I just didn't know how to juggle all of these things. So when I became pregnant with child number 3, I lamented, like I grieved that baby. So when I miscarried, I was not as sad with that baby. But then I became pregnant again. And so hence was our last child, Roman. And Roman means strength. And I had to have strength to endure that pregnancy. That pregnancy literally almost killed me, literally. And I'm so grateful for my children. I could not imagine not having them, but I did go through different periods, especially after that first miscarriage, that I thought it was going to take me out emotionally. I was very depressed. I was aggravated. I was mean. I was guilty. Every emotion that you can potentially imagine that's a not positive emotion is something that I felt. It really impacted me in such a way. So, I'm grateful that God has provided me with 2 beautiful kings that I absolutely cherish.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank
So,
you for.
So Dewan earlier spoke to women and our collective strength. When Tiffany lost her first baby, I was far from marriage, far from motherhood. But we talked about it and we prayed about it. And she was in Ohio at the time. We weren't in the same city, but my heart was with her within her loss. I am in this moment experiencing my own grief because earlier both Dewan asked and Anya and Tiffany shared that their sons are 2 years old. I was pregnant the same time that Anya and Tiffany were pregnant with a boy who I lost. And I'm still feeling those emotions that Tiffany shared. I feel guilt. I'm disappointed. I feel shame. I feel anger. I feel love in all of that. When I found out that I was pregnant with a boy, I prayed fervently because I knew what this world entailed. Now I pray fervently because there are some things that I know that he has been shielded from. But I'm most grateful for what Tiffany shared. I remember she was hurting after her baby passed, and she said, I experienced it all, the birth, even the ring of fire, without the reward. And that's exactly what I experienced. And in my darkest moment where I felt alone, I was not alone because she shared her story with me when I didn't even need it. Mm-hmm. But God knew. So thank you, Sands. Thank you, God, for these relationships, for our relationship. I think the most selfish thing you can do is to guard your story because we are given victory through the testimony of others.
Bless both you ladies for sharing that. That's powerful. And it makes, it confirms why I feel like the Lord has led me to actually write this book, because just to hear you say how like your story, sharing it with people, but she shared that story with you before you even needed it, you know, and then the lesson comes to you at the time of your need. And so it just confirms to me why I feel like the Lord is leading me to do this book, to be able, that's the whole point of the book, to share my pain, to share my mistakes, to share the things that I did right. I haven't always made mistakes, you know, I've done some things right too, and to be able to share those things as well. And so thank you all for sharing that. I mean, and for your transparency and your honesty, because there are so many people on this live who will see it later on, who aren't on here now, but will hear that some healing was going on, you know, on this live, and we'll go back and watch the replay, and you don't know who your story will impact. And I'm a true believer that every single thing that we go through in life is not just for us, it's for somebody else. It's to build us, but it's to help others, you know, and then in helping them, you're helping to build them as well. And so thank you all for your transparency. So we talked about where you ladies were with losing the baby in the womb, but we have our other love up here, Dolores, who had a very different experience with it, and I believe she still, you know, struggles with that as well. But do you kind of want to share?
Yes. As most of you know, 5 years ago I lost my son, and he was 36 years old, health problems, and God forbid anyone who loses a child. You may experience other deaths. It could be parents, siblings, relatives, but there's nothing like a child, the death of a child. And I also want to thank, you know, my line sisters for being there, for being supportive, everybody who was around me. And I think what I could say the most is love your children, take care of them. And we know that God gives them to us for a time. We basically borrow our children. So cherish them and protect them and love on them. And as far as dealing with situations like this, your faith in God plays a big difference. I know if I didn't have the faith that I did and do now, I wouldn't make it. It's just too difficult. It's too, you know, as mothers, we are nurturers, and we just want to save them. We want to heal them. We want to do so much that is beyond our control. So I just want to say, just keep God first. And anything that we go through, He will take care of us. He will take care of us.
Absolutely. And the other thing I want to say too is a lot of times, you know, it's different people watching this live. And sometimes, especially if you're not at a certain stage of your spiritual walk and spiritual maturity, you hear people say, you know, trust God, trust God, trust God. But at the end of the day, that's all you know how to do. I'm sure when you're in that situation, that's all I know how to do when I'm in certain situations. And I mean, when they were talking, all three of them were talking, my heart was just going out to them. But at the end of the day, you're always looking for the words to say. But sometimes there's nothing I can say. There's no hug that's going to make the pain go away. There's no words I can say. There's no gift I can give. There's no place I can take you that's going to make that pain go away. But when you have someone there standing with you, praying with you, reciting the word when you don't have the strength, or you can't even get the words together in your head to even think, I just think that having somebody to pray with you until you can pray for yourself, having someone to read the word until you can recite it for yourself again, that's very important. So thank you all for sharing this. This is I didn't expect it to go this deep, but I think I know God knows what He's doing, and it's because someone needs to hear what you all are saying and what you had to say. So thank you for that. It's 8:17. We normally end at 8:15, but I need to do another question or something so we can leave on a more upbeat note. I don't know. So let's see. Let's just do this. So I normally, and I should have told you this. I'm sorry. But I normally like to leave when we are to close out the live and everybody just say one word. So I'm still trying to get my thoughts together. I'm sorry. But just say one word, something encouraging, something inspiring, just whatever the Lord lays on your heart, just before we end the live.
Grateful.
Anyone can start.
Say grateful for me.
Great. That's good.
Loving, just always love on people. The positive side.
Because you never know. Anybody else?
I say joy. Joy was one of the words, I said it's one of the words that I wanted to be a little bit more intentional about this year, was having more joy because, to be honest, sometimes life can just get you, life can just beat you down sometimes. So this year I wanted to, again, be more intentional about finding the joy in little things. So that would be my word, would be joy.
That's good. So, one more thing. Let's see. And it sparked me. What's so funny? What you say? How's she laughing? One more thing. So when you said joy, just reminded me of something. So I need to pick me up. So let's do this. So before we get off, at the end of quarantine, for most of us who are still quarantining, what is the first place you're gonna go? What's the first thing you want to do? First place you're gonna go, or that you want to, at least, even if you don't make it.
Well, can I tell you how I told Tiffany the other day I needed to go to the hair store. She was like, I told her I need to go to the hair store because I need to get some stuff. She was like, no, ma'am. No, you don't.
Yeah, it's real life.
That was what I did the first time I left quarantine.
You went to the hair store?
Yeah. It was really good. No, I had to get my hair done. I had to get my hair done.
Oh, you would have got. You took all time.
I had to. Well, we had masks on, but she had on masks. I had on masks. Yeah, it was good. It was at somebody. It was at the house. It was at somebody's house. So yeah, I didn't have to go to the salon. She did it from her house.
Really? Well, speaking of which, I did want to mention this in the conversation. Ended up not going there, but I did want to state this before we go to it, and I'm still coming back to y'all, so y'all be thinking about where y'all want to go. But this COVID thing, I would be remiss getting off of here without talking about this. And we've been hearing about it forever, so there's no need to go long in depth in it. But I do know here in our town, in our county, they just mandated it. We're starting July 10th that you have to wear a mask if you're in public. I mean, there are a million exceptions, which I don't see how you mandate that many exceptions, but it is what it is. And so it's because of the numbers increasing. And then we just saw where Mayor Keisha Bottoms from Atlanta has COVID now. And it's so many people. Every time you look at the news, there's somebody new coming up. And this stuff is real, people. And it's affecting our people, people more than it's affecting anybody. Black people. So, and it's also, I heard on the news where they're saying it's no longer the people with just pre-existing conditions anymore. Yeah. It's not just the people in a certain age range. The average age, I think I heard last week, was between 18 and maybe like 35, I think. And so this stuff is really getting real, and the statistics change every day. Everything changes every day. But we have to be wise, and you have to be responsible for yourself and your family, because just because the government is opening back up, no, they're opened up. Just because the government is open does not mean that you need to be walking through those doors. So keep that in mind, because I just don't understand it. They say it gets worse and we get more lax. So just keep that in mind. Stay prayed up. God is going to get the glory out of all of this. I believe that he is doing a mighty work. And the problem is, it's going to be some people that had an opportunity to sit still, but they still too busy moving. They're going to miss the message. And
that's a message right there.
And baby, I'm taking notes. I got them in my phone. I got them in my journal. I'm not going to miss this message. I'm listening, Lord. And so I just had to say that. Now back to you, Tiffany. Where are you going?
I am going on a date with my husband.
Yes.
So since we have been quarantined, we are still very much following all CDC practices, including more, because we are also taking care of my mom who had 2 heart surgeries this year. So with that being said, we have to be very, very, very cautious. But I am looking forward to having a babysitter. I am looking forward to getting away with my husband. I am looking forward to dinner. I am looking forward to being wined and dined. I'm looking forward to being held. I'm looking forward to being touched. I'm looking forward to just my husband.
His love language.
Want to go like touch? You don't like touch, but she want to be touched by her husband.
Yes, honey. So
I told you God gonna get the glory out of this.
Yes. So I am just looking forward. After all of this is done, I am looking forward to just it being he and I for a day.
She said a day. Thank you. I'm sure he's looking forward to that too. Mo?
So for me, it's not so much about where I want to go. It's what I want to do. I want to have a gathering, and I want to eat good food with people I love, and just hug and squeeze and have a really good time with my people. I miss that collective experience. I haven't. John. It's just been John and I, and I really barely remember the last time I was at a gathering. Of course, we've had virtual experiences that have been nice, and I've connected with people that I haven't talked to in years, but I'm an intimate, physical person, and I miss proximity.
Yeah, that's good. I agree with that.
I want people to take my food, say, "Oh, that's good," because I've been cooking, y'all. Look,
Ooh, I'm proud of you, though, Mo.
Well, I want to come there. I want some catfish that your father caught. I want some apple crisp, and I wish your aunt was still here so that we could watch a movie and she wake up and make all kind of comments in the middle of it.
She's talking about Aunt Josie.
I want some of your green. I want some of your green.
You want some of whose green?
Your green.
Yes, girl.
Well, all those plans, I don't know when she's gonna have time to make them on you.
I know. I hope I don't get pregnant again.
I'll be busy.
Lori?
I agree with everything that's been said, but I want a pedicure. So I'm looking forward to that.
Me too.
Yeah.
I've been trying to do my own, but I definitely need a professional. And I would say mine would be, I need to go on vacation. I need some water. I need some sand. I need some water. I just need and quiet. I don't care who go with me. I just don't want them to talk. I just need quiet, just by the water with my laptop so I can do some work. So
Come on.
That's what I enjoy. But thank you all so much once again for joining me tonight. We're going to go ahead and shut it down, but I just can't tell you how much.
I'm not ready.
Well, we just got to get our Facebook Live. We can still stay on. And I don't know how long the little one's going to let you talk after we get off, but Corey going to be knocking on the door tomorrow. Are you done?
Right.
But thank you all so much. Thank you for sharing your hearts. Thank you for your transparency. And like I said, I know this is going to impact somebody. This was not in vain. And so thank you. I love you all. And you all just, like I said, I had so much confirmation on here about several things tonight. And when we all came, the last time we were together was in October of last year when we went for Andrea's wedding. And Tiffany, we missed you.
I missed you all too.
But it was such a good time. And that was my first time being around you all in a long time. Because you all were still kind of up there around each other and I was way down here in Tennessee. And so it was like something renewed in me. And that was the first weekend in October. And it was like after that weekend, I felt renewed. I felt revived because I was kind of not in the dumps. I wasn't in the dumps, but I just needed that pick me up, And it was like after that weekend, like my life, God just started doing it all October. Every week it was something that God just kept blessing favor. And I just thank you all because I needed that weekend. And y'all kicked off my neck. Y'all kicked off my neck. So thank you. I love you all. You all
Love you
make
too.
it a
Love you too.
well, thank you all for joining us on Facebook. Be sure to share this live with your audience, because I'm sure there is someone on your timeline, even if they never say it, that may need to hear what was discussed on here tonight. So we love you all. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.